Welcome to Audio Products Podcast. We are meeting with pro audio industry veterans, founders, product managers, UX designers, to learn how they build and manage the products we all love. You will get tips how to navigate your career in audio and how to develop a successful audio product. From musical instruments through audio plugins and gaming middleware up to music distribution platforms or consumer electronics like headphones, mics, and even automotive speaker systems. Enjoy. Good evening, Wolfgang.
Hello, hi Wojtek.
How are you doing? How are you?
Very well. I mean, it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and I had just a normal whatever that is working day in the office, and now I'm ready to give you some feedback and some information about where I'm coming from and what I'm doing today as a product manager at my company, d&b audiotechnik. So I'm actually fine, and I hope you too.
Yeah, I'm really excited because, as you know, I come from this music instruments and, let's say, mixing, mastering, plugins, stuff like this, so I was always super curious how professional audio companies like d&b, work, and how is it actually like to work in a company like this. And with the podcast, I have this mission actually to, build bridges between different segments of our fragmented market. So I'm really very curious. And as you know, we spoke a couple of times before the podcast. And with each conversation, we actually, unbox, new topics, and so I'm very, very, very excited.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks for having me. You just said one very interesting thing when you say you try to build bridges. I mean, building bridges is also something that is very important and interesting for product managers from the inside out perspective and from the stuff that we are doing and producing and bringing to the market. I mean, building bridges is giving people experiences, right? And for giving people and the audience an experience, you need stuff that is too complicated for them to understand, but it's necessary for us or our clients and customers and users to make it happen. So building bridges, good thing. I keep that in mind.
Thank you. I mean, you see, that's like a beautiful introduction to the subject of today's episode, because as usual, the podcast is audio product podcast. So like a product managers, UX designers in the I'd say in the as a main role in the and actually how does it feel to be a product manager. So to our listeners, so today we're going to talk about how is to be a product manager or director of product, head of product in the company, like a professional audio company that is, like a leading brand for sound reinforcement solutions, d&b audiotechnik, German company, one of the, I think, the leaders of the segment. I think, I won't make introductions because we'll, once we start unpacking, we'll talk a little bit more and you talk about the products, etc. Probably most everybody who actually work a little bit or like went to any concert in their life, they should know the products or like saw them somewhere.
Somewhere sometimes, and maybe that's the first thing that you check out when you come to a concert venue. What's in the air? Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. And as soon as I check what kind of system is in use, I try to figure out, okay, this system in that venue for this kind of content, band or entertainer, whatever. Mm-hmm. What is happening here and what could be improved or what are they doing great? And of course, we are in contact with our users and customers on a regular basis. To get their experiences, to understand what they are coming from, what they prefer, what they don't like, what they wish. And from there, the product management work starts to get more impactful, I would say.
But, so it sounds to me that, or what I mean, let me just, I don't want to simply like spoil and, we'll talk about products a little bit more. But maybe, I have this tradition that I always like ask a guest, to intro. You have very colorful and interesting career. So maybe if you could tell a little bit, I know you are right now head of product management in software and electronics in the d&b audiotechnik, but I mean, you had a, musical career and producer, etc. So maybe if you could just tell listeners a little bit, about your story, how you got here.
No, how did I get here? Yeah. Okay, maybe let's start with the original idea, making an entry into this world from a really general perspective. So that actually happened when I was a bit more than 3 years old. Sounds a bit silly, but actually that's the point, because my family and a friend of my family who's also who was a drummer, they recognized some talent that I obviously showed somehow, somewhere, all the time being at home as a drummer. So they saw that I have a certain talent to feel rhythm, and they gave me the opportunity to learn the instrument. So I started drums with around 5.5 years, and right from the beginning, with a good structure. So it was not just playing around, and after 10 minutes, not interested in that anymore and going out and doing something different. It was more like, okay, if you want to play this instrument, you need to do it properly. So the way they thought this should be came from a very traditional kind of learning an instrument. So my first thing was to learn reading music. So reading from a sheet, writing my own stuff down, and understand all the mathematics when you play drums, and do it with everything else, everything differently with arms and legs and stuff like that. So I started with that with 5.5 years, and I entered the first orchestra when I was close to 7.
Wow.
And at that time, I was not aware of what this would bring me for my later jobs. What I did, because what I right from the beginning learned was communicate in a different way. Because I had in one orchestra 50, and in the other one 70 musicians around me. It was quite a big orchestra environment, and I had the conductor in front of me. So when we played the piece, and I was in the back and started to try to figure out what is happening here in this rehearsal room. How do they play? Who is following who? I learned pretty fast that the drums in the center of the background of this orchestra, they have a certain role to lead, to drive, to take back, to make dynamic, all the time in contact with the conductor. And learning this just by doing, just by playing and rehearsing, that gave me already quite a good understanding what it means to be together with musicians, to play music. And I just worked on that for several years, and then it felt so good to me and so natural that I decided to go to the music university to study drums. And at that time, you could study a class which is just orchestral music, and you have a main instrument and a second instrument. The second instrument is that what you are having on side, which was the piano, and the first instrument was drums in an orchestral, classic, traditional way. So all the different things with just a snare drum, timpanis, the big cymbals. So all this kind of stuff. And at the same time, also the modern drum set. And I started doing that when I was 15. And I did on university studies for 4 years. And then I made my exam when I was 19. And in that time already, I further explored different way to deal with drums, playing in bands, playing for other musicians as a single artist, doing some first recordings in a recording studio, teaching other people. So I think I was 13 when I had my first teaching experience with another guy who wanted to learn the drums. So, and that was my background and my step into this audio industry. And maybe we come back later to that in another perspective, but starting from that point, I had a kind of way through different kinds of the music industry. And it ended up where I am today, which is then leading a team from product managers for electronics and software at d&b. And the decades in between were just leading me to different areas. So from being a musician, working in recording studios, being interesting of what are they doing with my recording? How do they create recording? What is that microphone doing over there? And I started talking, and I was always very interested in that stuff. I wanted to know what they are doing with my play. So that was just a parallel thing that happened, and then rather accidentally, another guy which I know came to me and said, "Listen, I have the idea to build up a recording studio, and by the way, I have a customer who wants to produce this local band, and I need somebody that can improve the playing of that band for the recording because they are not in shape to do a proper recording." So I started working with them in the rehearsal rooms and that stuff. And in that period, I also learned to looking over the shoulders of this guy when I was talking to the band, and then I saw what he's doing to fit that together in sound as a band. And I found that so interesting that I started to check out that stuff for myself. So the classical way of learning by doing, making mistakes, rewind, check again, try to understand what's happening, ask people, go back, do it again, make it better and better. And that's what I did actually for the first 3 or 4 years in that environment. So I learned rather naturally how to work with signal input, right? And during the years, I understand what is important to take this input signal to make a proper recording, production, have a CD in hand, or giving the band playing live on stage the right appearance, working FOH. So, as I said, this was that kind of path. And during this years, and it was around 25 years or so, of producing and working with bands, and at the same time playing for other musicians as a drummer, I learned a lot about how this is working. So this is actually my background, where I'm coming from, and where my roots are in the first place.
So what happened that actually, you found this, like a path to product management, audio product management. So, what was that's interesting.
So that happened let me think, in 2006, that happened. So I was working as an engineer and production manager for a couple of years. And I had a big production year in the theater, and right after this circle of shows, it went to a local place close to Munich, where we just shaped it a little bit different, and then brought it on stage in this musical tent for almost 40 gigs as well. And after this, I found that maybe I need a change, because I had some issues with my health. I had some issues with interest. I did too many things, maybe too long in the same way. So I needed some food and some input. That was one thing. The second thing was that a company which is very close to my hometown, also an audio manufacturer for sound reinforcement, they developed a new line array system for them. And they made an introduction phase, And they invited me to go there and listen to it and have a dinner with them and just talk. And because I knew some people from that company, actually more as a customer um, of using gear for my own jobs. And during that presentation, and especially in the evening, I came into a discussion with two other guys, and after an hour, they said, "Well, listen, we are looking for a product manager at the moment. We are searching. Wouldn't that be something for you?" And I said, what is a product manager doing actually at your company? I'm not aware of that. The function and the role and the perspective. So they explained me a little bit. And very late in the evening, I went home, and then my thoughts were rolling for quite a few days. And then I asked myself, is that maybe the change that is ready to come for me now? And I get in contact with the owner of this manufacturing company. I knew him for other reasons, but this would lead too far away from our main topic, I would say. But I wrote him just a short email and said, thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the chance to learn about your system. And I heard that you maybe are interested in finding somebody to fill a product manager role. And I'm generally interested. Should we meet? And the week after we met, and 3 or 4 weeks later, I started as a product manager in that company, knowing nothing about what I today think I know about product management. It was really a cold start, and in many different ways, it was a hard start, a cold start, but it was so much fun, stress and fun.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What did they tell you? Because you mentioned they told you, they are looking for a product manager, a little bit about the role, and I'm curious if you remember, because it was some time ago. I mean, long time ago. What did they tell you? What the product role is about?
Well, okay, so what I need to add that the owner, which is actually one of two brothers, so they both are owning the company. One was in developing by himself, so as an engineer, developing the stuff, and his older brother was rather the sales guy. So, and those two were offering some stuff for a band I was joining when I just finished my studies at the university. And with that band, I started a kind of career as a rock star. Sounds silly, but it was a bit in a way. So the band was a local hero rock band like Europe or like this.
Of course, I remember. Final Countdown.
Yeah, that stuff, or Bon Jovi. So this kind, 5-piece band, classic, and not too hard, but also not too soft. And they had a local hit, and they were played in the local area with that hit. And so the band was in a certain position, and they were supported by these guys to give him some stuff. And they not also sent them some loudspeakers and amplifiers. They also gave them guitar amplifiers, because the second brand of that manufacturer is called Hughes and Kettner. And Hughes and Kettner is actually, at least at that time, a very well-known, pretty much progressive technology developing guitar amplifier manufacturer. And so we met, and the sales guy met me, and he was just asking me, so what did you like on the presentation and the demo, and what do you think about the stuff? And then he asked me, actually, as a customer, how would I think this could work in the market? So we had not a technical discussion, we had a rather business related discussion. And then he said, yeah, well, sounds interesting. You need to make another meeting, and I give you two other guys. One was the export sales manager global, and the other one was the marketing director. And I met those two guys for another lunch date, and we had just a discussion about it.
Mhm.
Also, maybe interesting that the marketing director, also drummer, at that time was already at least once in my recording studio to record a CD.
Okay.
So we knew each other as well from different ways, you know.
Mhm.
And after the second meeting, they gave feedback to the owner back, and then they give me a call and say, "We would hire you,"
Nice.
and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
So,
started.
but let me. Sorry that I just like dig in so much into it, but I'm just wonder, what people, like think about the role. And you mentioned that, they also understand from what you're saying that, I think they like how you talked about the, what can be done with the products and how you like. I mean, you have this, sort of like you were a user, so and a customer, so you could, but you can also like probably, how to say, empathize and actually very well, or like vision that you describe, what should be done with the products going forward. You like this, that they like this very much. This is what happened.
I think they found it very interesting because I saw I told them what I saw and what I was listening to. And
Mm-hmm.
you need to think that at that time, which was 2006,
Mm-hmm.
the age of line arrays was pretty short. You know, when we think back when the first line arrays came up to the market from the French guys from L Acoustics,
Mm-hmm.
that was I think around 2001, 2, 3. So in that area, I'm not 100% sure, but I had just a few experiences using such a system
Mm-hmm.
working at FOH. I can remember one gig in Luxembourg where I had to engineer a Luxembourg band on this K1 system, and it was pretty interesting for me, but a pretty hard job because I was not used to work with a line array at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it very interesting, and I was trying to figure out what others are doing with it, using it because it was a festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the idea. I understood the benefits that you can achieve and take to make, let's say, the sound dispersion more even over the listening plane than using just clustered PA systems. But it was tricky to use. You know, if you are not really well trained and really on the point and know what the system is doing, you can go wrong quite easily. So I was discussing it with that, and then asking what type of customers could be interested in that. I gave them just the experience that I have, and this was not from an audio perspective, not international.
Mm-hmm.
I was at that time I was a local engineer. I spent some time doing jobs in India for a whole month, which gear was provided locally, and I
Mm-hmm.
just had a few things with me to make sure that at least a minimum of quality I can achieve. And that was a very interesting time because it was 18 or 19 gigs, and every gig was different place, different gear, just the same band and me. And to make that happen within 1 month was maybe one of the most demanding, but also most giving and interesting experiences that I could gain at that time. So there was another one in Siberia, which is also another interesting place to support concerts with gear when a proper band with normal instruments with modern instruments, a rock singer in the center, rock guitar, keyboards like hell, and some tracking machines in the background to make choirs and percussions and stuff like that, and you are in the middle of nowhere and try to make something like that to the whole audience. So I thought this is also maybe a change in the industry, so that it's not just a trend. More and more companies were showing up with a kind of line array solution, and I was not too much in the technical details at that time. I was more thinking about, okay, I'm a user. What do I need to know to make that happen with such a system? So
Wolfgang, can I interrupt you? And I'm not sure. We have like a different listeners. So could you? I mean, not going without going to like a lot of technical details, but I mean, tell a little bit about line arrays and different type of systems. I know we're just going to deep dive and tell a little bit about the products later, but I think it will also give a nice introduction because some people are from like a gaming or even students, etc. So it's actually maybe good to provide some at least initial information about how different systems and what different systems we have, and what are the, let's say, major benefits of specific systems.
Yeah, I mean, not being too technical, I can tell you that in general, let's say, at least two general different system concepts or layouts. So we have in our world, we are talking mostly about point sources, which is one source that distributes the sound to a certain area of the audience. Maybe sometimes the half of the area, but that can differ because of the scalability that you need to achieve. And the other one is line array technology. And there are some little things in between where we also can discuss, but sticking with the main stuff in general. So line arrays having the capabilities to produce a quite even frequency response and SPL distribution over the listening plane. They are also able to do that not only in one dimension. So if you think about a festival ground, there's a flat venue and you have people on there dancing, standing, whatever. In a stadium, you have
it's like a flat, but also it's like a three-dimensional.
It goes up like an arena, and you need to make sure that you have the sound very well and even distributed from the front rows to the very back into the upper stalls in the back of the arena, and at the same time at the sides. So there are very different ways to cover these requirements from a venue perspective, and this is maybe the most important thing that you need to consider as a system designer. So where am I? What kind of profile do I have to mix or to deliver? Which scale of power or density? And from there, you want to make sure that the sound quality, or let's say the frequency response, is not going down too much in side areas, and keeps also away and keeps people awake in the very back. And line arrays are pretty much able to do that when you know how to. And
okay.
point
So
sources,
of course, if we talk about line arrays, we think of this big, like speaker systems that are either bananas.
Banana. We call them bananas, or bananas. So what you from a traditional point of view have on the right side and on the left side of the stage, very long, shaped like a J. If you look from the side, most of the time it's in the upper positions, the boxes are rather straight, and then sometimes going down, it also creates a certain curve character. And this is just the way which you are not doing just because you want or because it looks cool. You need to do it to create a dispersion angle which covers every space from a vertical perspective that is going from the stage to the back. And there are so many little ways to do that, and the quality or the sound pressure level depends, of course, of the cabinet sizes, the way they direct, the length, the curvature. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider and need to be aware of if you want to set up a proper line array system. A point source is easier from the first point of view. It has a certain fixed characteristic. It's one thing. You put it sometimes of a stand or a subwoofer, and this is the direction, the directivity of the speaker for the whole frequency band, and this is the power I can expect. And this is what you are working with, and you can shape it a little bit with angles or with, turn it a little bit straight or a little bit, you turn it in a little bit. And of course, you have different sizes for creating a different output.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, when you started to, explain, I just realized, and you mentioned scalability, how complex this problem is actually to create systems that are scalable to like different type of venues, like sizes and shapes. And I think, even like a characteristic, right? So it can be like a stadium or, I don't know, like a closed, there are obviously the halls that are closed, and also like I think I said that some of the previous episodes of the podcast, but I just realized how important this is. When I went to the concert that was, I don't want to criticize because I'm not sure what happened, but I once with my father to a Hans Zimmer concert in Krakow. I think a couple of years ago, he was like playing this with this orchestra and band. I mean, him in person, right? It's not like his music, but he was there in person. And since my father is like his big fan, so I bought tickets for his birthday, and we drove to Krakow. And I think something happened with the acoustics, because we're sitting on the side of the stage, but it was so loud, and I have never experienced a situation that I have felt sick for a couple of days because of the sound. So it was so extremely loud, and especially, I'm not sure if you remember this piece from Dark Knight, the Batman theme. And it's just, I couldn't hear anything. It was just a wall of noise, but I felt so sick I was unable to drive the car afterwards. And I say, what's going on? Is this, probably, maybe, like on the live venue, they just screw up something with the, but it was, honestly, I was like, for 2 days, I had such a terrible headache, and, I couldn't, work, or, I had to take a sick leave. And I say, whoa, it's just, what happened with, with something is not like on a specific venue, like not designed properly, right? I suspect it's not obviously like the system, but the how specific concert was actually prepared and organized, right? But maybe it was, I was just wondering, I'm not an expert, but I say, hey, is this maybe something that I said in a specific place, that may be some kind of, a characteristic of the specific hall?
Okay, one question back. The venue where you've been, is it a traditional classical space to transfer? No, it was a
like a sport. It was a sport hall, with the roof. So it's just like a some sport arena, something sport. Yeah, whole
sport arena with the closed roof. Yeah, if you go somewhere and the sound doesn't fit to your ears, or you think there's something wrong, there can be 1,000 reasons for that to happen. That's always what I try to figure out when I go to a concert, and I cannot stop it. That's my problem. For me, it's really not easy to enjoy music in a live environment, even when the band is playing so great and I would like to dance. A little bit of my mind is always checking and questioning and asking myself, what is happening here? Why and you have certain things that you need to take into account when you look from a sound design perspective. It's not only about knowing the loudspeakers and their specialities, if they are there. In an ideal world, I would say a loudspeaker system is rather linear, so that the engineer can do and bring to the system what he wants to do, and the system just does it. So a linear sound frequency response and sound image for me always is a good thing because it makes life easier for everybody at the end of the day. But directivity is a very interesting and important topic. So where does the sound goes beyond the listening ear of the audience? What is going up in the roof? What is going to the back and is coming back with a kind of delayed echo image, which makes a different the direct sound so indifferent. You have a snap, very short attack and pregnant suck, and it's actually 3 or 4 times repeated in different shapes, in different levels, and very close together. And
yeah, I got it. I got it. I mean, of course, I'm not like a professional producer, but I mix a little bit, and so I know what you mean, and I understand that in such a large scale as a concert, it's just like a 10, 100 times more complicated and so many angles, and I mean, especially that this is not like a professionally created hall for music.
That's the nature acoustic of a venue can bring you really into trouble, and there are people in the market, they really know how to deal with bad rooms because they are so deep into system designing with all physical aspects that you could imagine, and sometimes they are able to do it very well, so that you spend 2 times in a venue and 1 time it sounds or even worse. And sometimes you go out and say, wow, this was great. And that can depend on input signal quality and what the sound designer did and what the sound engineer did.
Understood.
Yeah, it's really not so easy to say this is the reason. Even when you are there, I'm not able to directly say this is the problem here. I have people in my company, they are pretty good at that.
Gotcha.
Very, 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 very experienced, and they are able to say, yeah, time alignment is not really good, and he should change the equalization a little bit and shift. And they work and they talk to the guys sometimes in the afternoon in the rehearsals, and then you see how things can change. So it's also about expertise, knowledge, training, experience trainings,
etc. So you're just like waving the path to actually next question or few questions I have. Some of them you actually answered a little bit. So I wanted to ask, how your let's say career as a musician or as a producer, help you. Or how did you leverage your experience in the new role as a product manager in the audio company, but also what you had to learn. So what were new skills that were maybe challenging for you, maybe something that if we have actually people listening, so consider some kind of product related jobs, so what they will need to learn in order to get there, or to have their make their career a little bit easier.
That's 2 very, very good questions. So what helped me from my musical background to work later on in the product manager role? In general, I would describe it like I learned how to see or to analyze things that happen with music reproduction from different perspectives. The first perspective, of course, is coming from the musician. So being on stage, listening to monitors or later in-ear monitoring, the combination of loudspeaker wedges on stage and using in-ear monitoring or headphones, having side fields, having other monitors a few meters away, being in contact with the musicians to talk, because when you play music, you are in communication. You're not talking with words, you're talking with feelings, with whatever it is, but it's not that you tell people how to do it. I mean, you do it and you interact and you know exactly what I mean.
The most
So
beautiful thing,
this
yes.
from the stage to the audience perspective is one. The second one was how to manage the best sound for me as a drummer, talking to the sound engineer. So sound engineers have completely different ways how to do their job. Some are not touching any fader before they went on stage and listening to the stuff you are using acoustically. So I learned that a sound engineer came on stage, and I thought we just make sound check, and he said, "Can you play?" And I played my kit. And I said, is that how you do it later on as well, with the same dynamics, with the same sound that I hear now? And he said, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And with that impression, he went back and he started to work on his, the sound reinforcement alignment with my natural sound.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wanted to understand what he needs, because when I always try to make it very easy for the engineers. So I was not picky and arrogant and said, this is how I do it, and you need to deal with it however it works. I said, what can I do to make it sound the best way? And also most of the people I was playing with were in the same way communicating. So this was one perspective. The second one was being at the mixer by myself and having the ability to create a picture looking on stage and translate this picture in my mind into what I want to hear. So I was aware of the venue and I was focusing on what's happening on stage. And then I tried to paint this audible picture of sound, what I think would fit the best in this venue. Sometimes that worked pretty well. Sometimes I was struggling because of reasons, and I couldn't find that target picture very well. And sometimes I was quite happy with what we could do together. And as I mentioned before, it's always doing it each other. I mean, as an engineer who's just doing everything by himself, not being aware of what's happening on stage, what the musicians are doing, how they feel, how their tone is on a particular day, because a mood is changing, the health is changing, the power is changing, the motivation is changing, and this is everything you need to deal with. The third perspective was being behind the stage to see how is that all organized. What is necessary to make the gig happening at 8 o'clock in the evening? So this organizational stuff all around this 2 hours of concert was pretty fascinating as well for me. So maybe that was the reason to start for myself a little bit doing this kind of production for clients. And the hardest perspective was actually, and I described that as being under the stage, in the dirt. If there's something not working, you need to dive into this dirt and try to find out what is happening and sort it out. Mm-hmm. How is that when you are in trouble? How is that when the sound is not there and you need to find the problem? And so this gives you another perspective around our business in the pro audio industry. And this different perspective fed me over the years, also for my product management job. Because, I mean, what is the most important thing as a product manager? I know that you had several people in your environment and had nice chats with them. So I'm not sure what they were discussing with you about what is the most important skill or capability as a product manager. I think it differs, and that's completely fine. If you ask me, I would say, so the main three things is tools that gives you the ability to find out what's needed in an effective way, and maybe we can talk a bit about what kind of tools we are using or you can use. The second is communication, because I think that product management, as we say, the entrepreneur of the product or the owner or CEO of a product, is also a kind of interface, and not only a stakeholder. It's rather interfacing, and it's very important that a product manager understands that he can guide, motivate, sometimes lead, be ready for making decisions. And this is not happening by ourselves as a product manager. This is happening using input from all different sides. So the ability to communicate
building bridges and building bridges, building bridges.
Thank
right?
you. I love it. Building bridges, yeah, and that's so important. I mean, I see that so often in our company, talking to customers as well, that building bridges on a technical level, but also on a communication level, is very, very important. I think you would agree that our industry is, to a certain extent, quite emotional. It's different than you are developing or being product manager for a washing machine. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'm doing wrong for a product manager who are in charge of making the best washing machines in the world. But our markets, the pro audio market, is led by characters, by people, by emotions. Because all what we do is giving people an experience. I mean, in so many different ways. It's not only the rock concert, it's the classical thing as well. It's a big company happening or event where thousands of people are listening and reading from the lips of one guy on stage, because he's introducing a phenomenal new product. The vibe in this room is determined by the performance of the guy on stage, or the girl, the woman, whatever.
I mean, 100%. I mean, agree with you. It's just like a very emotional. It's just because it's related to art. It has the specific creativity and art. It's it's hard to explain, right, in words. But I mean, I know that people can be passionate about building something else, but art has this specific meaning in the and in human life, right? So that's why we deliver tools for people to be creative and actually communicate their emotions and communicate their art. So that's why I think it's and I mean a lot of people with artistic background as well, like yourself, and yeah, so that's why the industry is actually pretty special, I would say.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't remember thinking about product management in another area, openly spoken. So I mean, I was thrown in this business position. I started swimming, and I tried to not going down, and I made some products during the years. And I was led by my own feelings to a certain extent. So I have beside physics and things that are really factual, I have something that is triggered by feelings, and listening also has so much to do with feelings, and I can't listen to something without listening quite seriously. So just having music in the background is rather disturbing most of the time. It's also sounding not the way I would like it. So I like to listen to music and then carefully. And yeah, and the way we do it, and I would say our bunch of product managers at D&B, we have the same ticking thing in us musically, and of course we can discuss in completely different ways and with a different mindset and working sometimes in a different way, but the general vibe, that's what I would say. The general vibe is something that triggers me, that motivates me, and that gives me a lot of power. And interesting wise, our whole company is pretty much in that direction.
I mean, once again, I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean because working in Avid, I think everyone is exactly the same. So like extremely driven by, I don't know, passion and also the same like a mission to deliver the best tools for musicians, artists, engineers. Yeah. So whatever it's just you don't need to motivate anyone. Everybody's just so grateful. But listen, I just wanted to make before we jump also to these tools and skills that you that you need to or you needed to learn. But I mean, what I hear from you saying, this previous experience, I just wanted to comment or like a how to say that. It reminds me of a saying a friend of mine once told me about the role of product manager. Is that product manager? It was like a joke he heard that product manager is a person who is standing with his ass again, towards the company, or like with his face, towards the customer and the market. So I'm not sure, maybe it's like a lame translation, from Polish to English, but he wanted to say that we should be more focused on the market and clients and their needs, and actually be some kind of interface, so to like build a bridge between our customers and how they use our product, what they need, solve their problems, and actually be able to translate this in like deliver this somehow to our teams internally, and also build, like you say, bridges, right? And I say this because you mentioned that you have so many ways you could look at the market that you are just building tools for right now, as a engineer, as a musician, as a like a, let's say, behind the scene person, so you were actually in the perfect position to become one. Even if without tools, you already have this very, very important characteristic, right, of a product manager, which is actually knowing the market, actually feeling their what they are coming through, right? I mean, being you have to say curious about the problems that they experience, right, and actually experiencing them firsthand. So it's already like I think that's probably also like why you see, I mean, a lot of people that I interviewed earlier and also like made some great careers as a product managers in Universal Audio, like Native Instruments, I mean, different segments of the market, they all share very similar story. That, I mean, because they were so strong in in the already as a user, or like a like a what I'm trying to say, understanding the market very well, it positioned them very nicely, because you can always learn tools, but it's very hard actually to get this. I think it's like this empathy, right? Being, if you experience this, you don't have to be explained or taught what it's like to be a musician or like a sound engineer, right? Because you already did this before. I mean, I strongly believe that this is actually harder to learn than tools. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, when a few minutes ago, I told you, I said, I think in general we need to have three different skills very well established, and the learning about pushing the skills can't stop anyway. The third one was missing, and this is actually to understand customers in a very broad way and sense, because at the end of the day, product managers in their main role, they should follow two different things, in my opinion. First, completely understand the pain of a customer. It's good to have a quite good picture what they think is good, what you're doing, or what your company is doing, and very carefully listen to when they moaning or explaining why this is not useful for them. You need to understand the customer, and therefore you need to understand his language. So if he's talking about his way to explain what he needs, sometimes it's tricky, but this is also the skill that you need to find a way to understand it and then to translate it into what they really need.
Uncover the need under what they are saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because some of the people we are talking to from the customer base, they are looking into the system as it is that day or at that time, and we have the contact to that customer. We have the contact to more customers because we are not talking to this single individual. We are talking about with customers in different regions, in different segments, where all the different little details of differences are in place. And at the end of the day, the product management also need to translate all this information into a picture that gives the company the right perspective to move. So this is when I think product management in first place, they need to be capable to listen carefully, understand what the subject is and the critics in each way, positive and negative, and just to take that into the company and translate it with others to the next project or product. So, and therefore you need to be a guy who is open and happy to talk to others about stuff, and then translate it. And discuss it with engineers, discuss it with other customers or internal salespeople. And then you need to discuss how to market that if you achieve a new product or a new technology or a new feature in your software or in the amplifiers. And that's, I think, this circle is happening all the time. And I think if you're doing that seriously and quite well, you have already a lot to do.
And can I ask you already, like, I know we just planned it again for a little bit later, but it's very interesting. So is there like any systemic way you do this, or this, like, I don't know, like a requirements management, or, like some kind of like a structured market research, to use any like a specific tools that, you find useful as a product manager?
Absolutely. I mean, there are different ways, and it depends on the required outcome, which kind of tool or method you are using. So having interviews with key people in the market, key players in the market is one thing. Talking to customers and ask them for certain topics and grab their key feedback is another one. Observe the market and try to get a picture what you are doing compared with others. So what is talk in social media, or what is something that you can hear, and at the same time you need to, in a way, consolidate all this kind of informations from different areas, feedbacks from your own people, because we have a lot of people in the company who are so close to users. I mean, I also need to differ between a user and a customer. The customer can be the owner of an installation company or a production company, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the users are the guys who are using the tools. So two different personas, as we call them, that you need to get a contact to in a different way, and you have to discuss different ways, because the owner is probably not so much in depth in the technical things, and he cannot explain very properly so that you understand what his topic is, his request or his criticism. And the users, they are different people, and you need to create a kind of relationship so that they trust you and you can really catch the right information from them that you can use for the next improvement or a complete new product.
But
So,
listen, and you still, I mean, sorry to be so, you know, I'm just super curious, how do you consolidate this information, you know? So I think, you know, a lot of people are still, and especially being from this engineering background, I think like some ease of, you know, how to talk to customers and users. Is there like a structure, or like would you recommend, I'm not sure, like you can say what actually you use in D&b as a product guy, but you know, also what could be, you know, like a nice way to consolidate this information and turn this into like a real, like a specs, right? Technical, you know, requirements for products, or like which how to prioritize, you know, also like a specific, you know, like a feedback one from another, right? So that's actually, I think, interesting. So how the company do the magic, or this is only in your brain, or yeah, or it's like a tool, specific tools.
It's and thanks God, that's not my brain or my brain alone. We have in our organization, we have a group of people working in different areas, but always close to the customer. And they have so many different information they bring back into the company. You could imagine that if you have a company with our size and people running around and coming back, and everybody's throwing the newest and the best idea to product management. So this is the next thing what we need to do. And if you have hundreds of them, you need to find a way how to select, how to compare, how to prioritize, how to think this information into what you have at that state of from a system perspective, and what it could bring beyond what you have. So this difference between technologies, sometimes it's just a convenience thing. Sometimes it's a breaking through USP, where you say, if we achieve this, we are again ahead of our competition for the next 2 years. So let's dive into this technology. And quite one example is people are discussing and they say, okay, I have different venues on the tour that I need to work with. And I need a system that can adapt these differences in a very easy way, so that I can take information from that venues and prior the gig, because I don't have too much time when I'm on site in the venue to prepare the stuff in all details. I need to have something that gives me the chance to prepare myself and make it faster, easier, and with the best output you can think of when I have my 30-minute slot during the build-up of the show. Because I say most of the time, 30 minutes is a lot of time for a sound guy to make his sound system running when everything is connected and he's going to the desk or to his computer. And customers cannot explain what we shall do. They can explain their need, and we need to find our way to translate this need into a feature or into a new product.
Yeah. But you see, I'm trying us to ask more specific questions. If you can say, because I understand that we can't talk about everything, right? But I mean, how specifically translate? So is this like just to give you an example, I once actually, and I never use it, but actually I found it super attractive, like a tool called House of Quality, which is actually like a way to, let's say, like a matrix where you put like all the needs, customer needs, you can like prioritize them, put certain weight, and then you have like technical features, right? I know some companies use tools like Product Board, for example, right? Or like Jira, I know also Jira Discovery, right? So is also like a...
Jira is helpful in many ways, and we also using and by today it's heavily connected to the R&D environment. And I mean, if you discuss the way how to bring this stuff together and consolidate it, I would say at the end of the day, we have a scheme of meetings where people are feeding a new idea into the system.
Okay.
Then we have a way to evaluate under different aspects: technical effort, risk management,
ROI.
timeline. So first ideas about how to do it, how to make the idea happen, and the product management is already feeding this kind of system with a lot of stuff. So we have much more ideas that we can realize at the end of the day, which gives us the chance to prioritize in a harder way. And there is a mechanic, and we're using a Jira tool for that. And at the end of the day, we get a score result. And with that score result, we push it further to the next group of people discussing it, and then are people from R&D involved, and they made some suggestions and estimations about the effort, about the timeline, about their ideas. And then you start discussing to outline this idea into the product or the feature. And then different people are looking into that and say, okay, if you want to achieve this, we need to do that and that and that and that. And this comes together and get into a kind of requirement specification document. And this is a process that can, depending on the feature or the technology, that can vary very much.
I understand.
Sometimes we go into this ideation scheme with something that is for us internally so obvious that we just need to take it and mirror it by customers, talking about it without naming it. I mean, we want to give audience, users, and of course our customers the chance to feed us, and we try to get feedback on our ideas, but we don't name a certain product or a certain thing that comes next year too early, because then you are in the same way dealing with expectation management, and requirement engineering is something that comes before you step into the stage gate process, where you have several milestones that you need to achieve to make a proper development, or the feasibility study, or the point where you say, okay, now we are ready to define the minimum viable product, and from there you start estimating with more substance how long does it take. And at the end of the day, at d&b, I would say it's a collection of different sources that come together and gets evaluated in certain groups where people are there to present the idea, explain it from different aspects, like why should we do it, why the market is asking for it, how we could translate this requirement into a product or a solution for the system. And then we start a discussion, and from there we ask questions back, and the questions need to be answered in the next couple of weeks, so that we get more substance on this whole idea. And at the end of the day, it goes with prioritization, and then somebody needs to say, and this is always a kind of board decision where some stakeholders say, okay, this 6, 7, 8 people are looking to everything, and then they say, okay. And I need to say something which is very important at d&b. Maybe it's also interesting for others, because at d&b we are always talking about a system. And the system is containing hardware like loudspeakers, amplifiers with DSP, software for doing the simulation and the planning for the stuff, a translation into another software that gives you the ability to operate your system with a kind of self-configured or self-configured overviews. And this is together, everything is nothing without having the system approach. So thinking about the loudspeaker is not enough. You need to think about how to operate this loudspeaker, how to drive it from an amplifier perspective. And then you start thinking in another dimension in just one product.
Solution. It's like a solution
Our
or a
product
system.
is a solution, and the solution is the system. Yeah.
Gotcha. System thinking. Listen, thank you so much for explaining this. If I can just stop for just a small second and actually tell or remind our listeners that they can follow the podcast on all this, so on all streaming platforms, being Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. I mean, there are other as well, so you can just find audio product or type audio product podcast. There's also our website, audioproductspodcast.com, and there are all links over there. So if you, for example, would like to take our conversation into, like a journey in driving a car, so you can obviously just listen to it and stream it. There is also like a Discord server, Audio Product Academy. So if I'll also include the links to all of those into they're in the description of the episode. And also finally there is a small buy me a coffee page. It's like Patronite, where people, if you would like to donate and support our podcast, you can give a small amount, that's why I call buy me a coffee. For a cup of coffee you can make a small donation, so we can actually keep inviting great people like Wolfgang and actually share knowledge for free with people. You can also subscribe there, and there is actually premium content, so some unpublished episodes like panels from AES and some additional reading from some of our guests, so it's not just a donation, it's actually really like a premium membership for people who actually find our podcast valuable for them. So I really thank you in advance, because as I say, it's just like a non-profit project, and it helps us, small donations help us, to keep it going, and help new generation of audio nerds to learn and actually from to accelerate their career. So thank you very much for that in advance. And sorry Wolfgang, for a small interruption.
Fine. It's also important to sense this information out, and at the same time, I think, okay, when you talk about the listening group, so who's approaching this kind of webcast, I also think, okay, what can be interesting for them, because we could discuss for ages about what is happening in the world of a product management, and I'm 100% sure it's very different when you talk to 10 product managers, depending on the environment they are working in. Where are the specialities? Where's common ground? What are the skills that you should think about, and what is maybe the fun factor? And what I can say, fun is not everything, but it's very, very important. If you work as a product manager, you need to find your fun ground, because the product management role is quite complex at the end of the day. And I also would say it's a kind of demanding. It's not a regular 9-to-5 job. It gives you at the same time the opportunity to do something that is doing something, in the company. You can really, at the end of the year or a period of time, you can see what you and a bunch of people were working for, and getting the feedback of the customers when they're using it. It's just great. It's you are creative. Even being a guy hanging on the phone, being in meetings all day long. At the same time, at least in our company, we are out very often to speak to customers, to meet on events, to be on trade shows, to have listening experience on concerts. meet people, and yeah, it's very satisfying, and it gives you very much back from what you put in. That's what I would like to say also to people who are thinking about a product management career.
Yep, absolutely. So you see, that's why I mentioned this joke about standing with your ass towards company, because that's what I was trying to say, that, it's so, how to say, it's, that on one hand is a complex and sometimes challenging job, but on the other hand it's always like a talking, I mean, at least what I always liked about product role is actually meeting customers and actually talking to them, creating solutions to sometimes together with them. It's really like a pleasant to see how things emerge. It's really like a creative, very creative work, isn't it?
Yeah. And to make that happen, as I said, you need to establish a certain connection to your customer base. And I mean, for D&B, I meet people for the first time still. Of course, I don't know every user or every customer. That's not possible. But it's very interesting to meet people in general and to talk to them. And even if they are having something in mind which sounds a bit critical at the beginning, an open discussion with those guys can create a bond that helps you next time when you have a certain question, you know how to call and how to talk to. And the feedback is very valuable, because at the end of the day, you are not creating the stuff for yourself, for your own satisfaction. The satisfaction comes from the
Helping
user
others,
smile.
enabling that.
Having the smile of a user using your stuff or getting goose pimples, that's the thing,
100%. I mean, I agree. But Wolfgang, can I come back to this question of, the skills that you needed? So I just wanted to go back in time and see, okay, so you obviously it's easier for you to establish these relations because you are a former engineer, musician, etc. But, what were these, things that you needed to learn, so I mean, I'm asking this question specifically in mind with people who are maybe a bit younger or maybe just work in other industries, but, they're passionate musicians, audio people. I know people like this, so not necessarily students, but sometimes people who may want to make a transition. So, hey, so what they should, learn? So what did you have to learn in order to become, like a major product manager?
Openness in thinking and try to understand the opposite of you, or the guy in front of you is let me try to describe that a little bit different. For me, what I needed to learn is stepping a little bit away from sometimes from my role as an active engineer. Because if I'm an engineer, I try to analyze things with my mindset, with my experience, and this is just one voice. If you try to cover the market where different users are in and different approaches are there, you need to step out of thinking too much about your own stuff or your own thinking and try to get as much information as possible from the outside, and then try to create a match. So how to improve this? Maybe an example, when I started at D&B, I immediately saw the differences between the company I was working for 6 years ago and D&B, because at a certain point, the size of the company was not the main thing. The way they thinking about products and systems and they are dealing with customers was just different. So I had pretty much two things to learn pretty fast: understand the D&B customer and their needs and their way how to approach questions, and using the systems, the d&b audio system. So this kind of learning very much about the product, that I can understand and follow what they are talking to me, what they're explaining. So in one sentence, as a product manager, learn your product, understand it, and then try to match between what the product is and what the customer talk about it. And this is, let's say, not the same when you talk to 10 people. The product is the same, but the people are 10 different people and 10 different opinions sometimes, and 10 different reasons to do something in this way or in that way. And then you need to try to understand all the aspects and consolidate it and bring it to, let's say, to 80% minimum result from the amount of customers that you can think of.
Interesting.
Another guy said, when you work in a company like d&b, you are in danger to always think in the best possible, because
like just like a perfection.
Let's say, the direction what I'm thinking is over engineering. So you need to invest a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge, expertise, experience to create top-notch results and solutions. At the same time, there is a very big commercial part included in all this, which comes to a rather rational thinking for figures, numbers,
Return on investment.
Because the company is always in a position that they need to earn money, because you need to pay the employees and you need to make other people happy. So you need to make money, and normally I would say also you need to grow, because that's a rule I also learned working much more with mathematics and stuff within our product management environment. What is growth? What is good? How can you put things together and put a price tag on it that the customer and the market will accept, and is also needed because you have a lot of effort that needs to be paid as well. So positioning, let's say this way, to position your values and translate it into a quite attractive offering for the market is a very important task for product management, and there are also a lot of aspects that needs to be considered and thought through.
I find this actually probably the most challenging and difficult one to personally, like a pricing positioning. I always like a thought.
Yeah, the pricing positioning is a very, very, maybe one of the most important tasks to do, because you need to convince other people that they say, okay, we give for this project, we give a certain capacity in R&D, and they want to know about the outcome before we start. So you need to give up an estimation. You need to create a picture. You need to convince people. You need to stand in front of 100 people and say, listen, guys, this is what we're going to do next year, because, and then you have maybe 20 minutes to give people the right idea and get their commitment for doing that.
That's why I like this analogy you used, that product manager is like a CEO of a product or entrepreneur, because to me it's really like a pitching to an investor, right? You have you collect this feedback, you translate it into like a product idea, like a proposal, and then you have to convince the stakeholders. I mean, the board, owners, investors. I mean, that's actually somebody actually is going to put a lot of money on the table. Obviously risky, so you need to be able not only to put together like a nice budget and an investment plan, but also be able to communicate it in a clearly, so like convince people to your vision, right? So they can Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have in a way also a kind of competition between the different new ideas, and then people are arguing because somebody who likes the idea A very, very much, he will find the right arguments to push it in front of somebody and says, this is the next shit we need to do. This is the next hot thing that will drive the market to another high level. It will influence so many things, and we get market shares in that regions, in that segments. And this is another point. You need to decline your business in not only from a technical perspective, but from the market perspective also. You need to know where to go, how to go. So where to go is actually the region. And in the region, you need to know the people who are influencing, the people who are making the decisions, the right customers and not the wrong ones. So customers who really can work with your stuff. And at the same time, you need to know the applications very well. So what is a product for? What can it use for? And you need to explain all this sometimes to people who are, yeah, okay, sounds good. And the way you do it has also an influence because not everybody is on the level to understand in depth what the product is for. You need to paint a picture that is convincing and explaining on their level why we should do it.
It's so interesting. Listen, I mean, you know that I was to Berlin last week, and we had this meetup for product managers from audio industry, and there was a colleague Stefan Mauer, who is the head of product in Georg Neumann, and he was telling it was like a 15 minutes of his like a key learnings as a product manager, and he was actually saying something very similar to what you're saying, that he just learned over years. It's just like I mean, building bridges, we can call it, or actually being able, like, an art of influence and art of communicating. So it's not that you cannot. I mean, I just remember one word he says. I cannot. I mean, initially I was checking in and just talking to people, thinking that things will happen. Later, I just realized that I need to build like a strong relation and sort of be proactive and work with people because, as you say, it's not really like a negative thing that there are competing ideas in the company, and this is just entire idea of the portfolio management, right? That we need to sort of be able to, not just come and then realize half a year later that nothing is going on, right? Because there's so many things happening at the same time that it's not that somebody just ignored you or like deliberately, let you down, but we need to like work with these ideas in a
And
effective
this is
way.
also something that you need to discuss not only from the technical side, but also with people from the sales channels. Your sales organization, they are most of the time very close to their customers, and when they talk to their customers, they have their topics, but when it comes to new stuff, it's also sometimes they're the most important contact. So you need also to be involved into what is happening in sales, and you need to inform sales. Sales is our customer number one in the company.
I love it. I love this. I love this. I mean, this one you actually brought this a beautiful. I mean, beautiful saying. Yeah,
It can be quite hard sometimes because and this is also a general thing, sales mechanics. If you are negotiating with a customer and you are coming from the brand A and the other one is coming from the brand B, there are certain levels of discussions. One is technical, one is emotional, and one is very much figure related, so number related, like pricing. And I think that most of the time you cannot take one way to talk to a customer to the next one. You need to have a certain connection to this customer because this customer has his own views, his own ideas, his own specialities, and also when it comes to business. But at the end of the day, you want to convince this or that or all customers that it's the best way, the best company, the best services, the best quality, and pricing is a very big part in the decision-making process. And discussing pricing is at the same time, I think, most of the hardest things. Because if a customer has two pieces of paper, one number, another number, and they just compare the numbers because they don't know how to do it better, the lower number will make the deal normally.
Usually, I just like a one. You know what? That's interesting.
It's as I said, normally.
Normal.
And I learned at D&B that the mechanics are different because at D&B, what a customer buys with the D&B system is much, much more than just the list of pricing tags added to a number. In certain markets, in the installation market, I would say that also different than in other markets like mobile markets. Are there? You are frozen.
Oh.
You were frozen for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, that's I think on my side it may be. I don't know, but I mean, we don't worry.
Yeah. So the positioning of the brand gives you, let's say, some rules about how to deal with pricing. When you are working for a product for a brand like D&B, as I said, you are in a Formula One environment to compare it with another market, sports car. So being there, it's not easy because everybody else around you wants to have a piece of you and wants to get there because you are so. It's natural that on the first glance, this company or this car, which is the best car, is not the cheapest one. So you need to explain the value, So and the value is something that is not easy to see in the first few seconds when you talk to people. So you need
quality, reliability, support, after sales, all this, right? That's what you mean?
Yeah. All these things, and of course the benefits from a system perspective, because a system pricing and the effectiveness or the efficiency of a system combined with certain ingredients, even the comparison of two system results in our world is not so easy, because we have competitors, of course, and for me, competitors are a very good thing, a very good parts of our life because they drive us to do more, working, looking for the next bit, or as we say, the D-end bit. So a little special thing that adds something to the market that others cannot deliver so easily.
That's how it should be.
Pricing is a very complex topic, and in the end of the day, you need to convince people that the pricing that we offer for our solutions is very valued, is value that gives you a very good return on investment on a long term. It gives you it assures you that you have a company with a very positive and supporting system approach, service approach, education approach, life cycle of our products are rather long, so that okay, if I invest in this kind of product, I'm sure that in the next couple of years, this product still is.
Okay, like a total cost of ownership. Gotcha. So it's not just like a purchasing, like a nowadays today, but I mean, what the return on investment I will have when I buy the product.
Yeah, and I mean, another aspect, if you talk to customers, you need to see where they are coming from, and you normally discuss with them what are their visions for their company development, and then you try to give them a supporting hand as a manufacturer to say, okay, we see you here and you want to go there, so what is necessary, and we try to support them on their way to develop the business.
But you mentioned something very important that I think it can be super, it's important actually to sort of unpack, because I think d&b is, like a very particular company in the audio industry because it's really business to business, right? And a lot of companies are like a business to customer. And, I think it's, what we already talked about it a little bit in our previous conversations, right? That brands like this, I'm not speaking, particularly about d&b, but I'm generally in B2B audio brands, is that, you have very specific, how to say, distribution and installation. So it's not like you can go into, to your website I'm not sure, maybe you can, but so that's why, yeah. So, that's actually, can you just a little, tell a little bit about, this like entire chain, also like, partners. And I know that some of the work is done directly by the company, but how important this is. And yeah, and you also mentioned before that sales is your first customer. It is also like I love the saying, I work in the B2B before, so that's why I felt so much, I feel you, but I think it's very specific to B2B. So can you shed a little bit more light about the, let's say, B2B context of audio companies? I'm not talking, to talk about some specific d&b business. We don't want to do that, but more like audio B2B brands and its distribution.
Yeah. We are selling and shipping our stuff on a global level. So you can our stuff use and find all over the globe. South America, EMEA, Americas, APAC, everywhere. I think at the moment, we have something around 75 or 80 different countries. And as a manufacturer, we also have our own subsidiaries in certain areas to make sure that the people around that area have a direct contact. They have contact in certain ways to the headquarters, but at the same time they have their direct subsidiary as a contact where they can place an order, when they can have support, technical support, service, education, event support. Sometimes depends on what it is, and around these subsidiaries, we have our IDs with partner customers that are committed to the brand, and they buy the stuff from us, and they then sell it to their customers. And these kind of customers can be they can be following different profiles. So one segment would be the mobile market, as we say it. And mobile market is everything that moves around from a sound system perspective. So touring companies, in the foreground, and then we have a lot of different, let's say, installation segments. And partners have sometimes they are quite exclusive in their area because they can oversee a certain amount of segments, and we have others, they are focusing and specialized in just one or two segments. And then we need to find out, okay, which segment is best possibly represented from our partner base, let's say partner base in a certain country. And this partner network is actually then our distribution and sales path. So as a manufacturer, we have just a few, very little amount of key accounts that we have a special relationship with, and therefore there is no other company involved. But most of the time, of course, a distributor, but because support and service and all this stuff needs to be short ways. direct contact fast, reaction time very fast. So at the end of the day, we need to make sure that when there's a requirement happening here, that it takes not 3 weeks to serve them. It needs to happen sometimes within hours, sometimes within a day or a week. And therefore, the partner network is very important.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so it's actually like so much different. I mean, for me, I mean, the reason I was asking is that I used to work in B2B, and actually later when I had more experience, with plugins and with, like some, software, I just realized how different B2C, is, and how many different skills, like a marketing funnels and sales funnels, how different they are. And so actually I had like a different like a challenge, but I assume that people who are actually potentially consider working for a pro audio brand, they need to understand the specifics, right? Then there is actually like a entire like a sales force, which is different than just selling things through the website directly, right? You have account managers, and I think and geographies and that they cover, and partner networks. And I can hear that also like education pays, I mean, it plays a big role, right? In this chain.
Absolutely. So because the stuff is, it's not just turn it on, make it loud, and it sounds great. It's another way. And as you say, B2C, because I worked also for B2C product segments in the other company before I joined D&b. So I went to I was working on trade shows where end customers, like a musician, a keyboarder or a bass player or a complete band, where we're approaching our booth and asking questions and following the presentation. And then I was trying to figure out, okay, where are they coming from? And they are using it at the end of the day. What can I tell them? What can I give them to show them what's possible with the stuff around me? B2B is, we're working with professionals, so they are doing that as a living to run companies. They have their investment plans, they have their life cycle stuff from the warehouse perspective. They are a lot of them have their own service area in the company, where some people are in direct contact with our service departments in the subsidiaries. So the connection management is also a complete different thing, completely different.
Yeah, so
And
I mean, that's why you mentioned that actually this is why. Also, I understand that this is why when you like build relation with the customers, you actually like ask them about their business goals, etc. So you're trying not just to sell them products, but actually help them to actually achieve their business goals. And then you need to understand really when they are going. So it's not just like shipping them stuff; it's just like enabling them to achieve their their
exactly. So it's a long-term relationship that you need to start to establish and to grow over time. So that's another really nice thing. So I meet people at certain events, which I know since I started at D&b as well, from Sweden, from America, from France, from Singapore, from whatever. So of course, this also means they are not only coming to the headquarters where I am located. I am also traveling to them. So another aspect, being product manager, goes in hand with traveling to see people in their environment, in their country. Because I mean, we can talk ages, and when people are explaining me about their last installation in a big church, and I mean, churches can be really big, especially in the States, like 12,000, 15,000 people in one church.
Wow.
And people are discussing that with you, and they try to explain, and sometimes it's better to go there and talk to the people on site. What is happening? What are you doing? And so in this way, you also establish your contacts. And if you have a question about stuff which is maybe coming in the future, you have the right people to ask questions. Because, as I say, customer is key, and to be close to the customer has different ways how you can do it. Sometimes you need to be in the same room. Sometimes it's also fine just having a Teams conversation for an hour like this, or a chat at the booth.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know it's nothing can change. I mean, replace personal touch, right, and the real relations. Yeah, that's for sure. Listen, I think we're just like we're just talking for a long time, and obviously I enjoy it, but I also like want to respect your time. But I have a couple more questions, if I may. I mean, what is like a typical day? I mean, if there is actually, I know that product manager job can be, like a very, I would say, it can be very different on different occasions, right? When you're launching the product, or you say traveling and fairs, etc. But I mean, would you be able to describe, what you would see like a typical day or like a week, month look like? So if somebody consider following your path. Tough one.
Okay. What I want to say is that you can make plans, but you cannot be sure that this plans goes exactly as you planned them. And in other words, you need to be flexible. You need to be reactive. So on my table are landing so many different things. And now I'm in a role to lead a small team with other product managers. So I try. My first role in this nowadays is to support my other product managers and challenge them with their ideas and ask questions and support them when they need support to bring their stuff on live. Being flexible and open. I wouldn't say that there is a day-to-day routine that you could describe and you say this is how I work day by day. What I can say, in our company at least, we have seasons which have a certain influence of what we are doing. So when do we travel? Depends on major events in certain areas of our subsidiaries, by example, marketing events, presentation events, or we also meet other colleagues in other countries to have a particular dive into their local things that they see in the market and the questions that come up. The schedule of events is what's driving us. The opportunities to talk to the market or to listen to the market is also, it can be Tuesday in February, or it can be a complete week. And therefore I can say, being a product manager, when you have yourself structured in a good way so that you know how to bring stuff to life, or you come to the point, that's very important. And you need to be open to dive into things and take things on and decide what you should leave, because otherwise it's very easy to get completely overwhelmed with topics.
Oh yes.
The biggest challenge in our role and function, I see that you know that as well. I mean, it's very easy to be overwhelmed and to feel overwhelmed, which is not very good.
Yeah, especially that we are very often people who need to prioritize, and actually help prioritize, so it's not good if we cannot just actually say, I mean, also another, I think, quote or a semi-joke is that, somebody told me that a product manager is a person who says no. Like the key skill for a product manager is to be able to say no, right? Because you cannot say yes to everything.
I love this quote, and I would agree to that. I would sign this because it's really hard. I mean, you want to see things flying, you want to see problems solved, and you want to help people who are just struggling for a certain detail. And even in the evening, when you get a call and you say, hey, I have a presentation tomorrow, I need to have this information. Can you give it to me? I can't find it. You wouldn't say, hey, man, give me a call tomorrow at 2 because before I'm not able to do it. In 99.9%, you would say, I try to give you the information before midnight.
Yeah,
And
I got it.
It's both sides of the coin. I mean, at the same time, you need to be careful with your health. And I can sing a song, a chorus, a hymn about this because I had several situations where my health was not in the best position or situation because I was doing too much and couldn't find the right time to leave it away and do something different, which is very, very important also for your mindset.
Yep, I hear you. I mean, I know it's just like a small, let's say, ad of the previous episode, but I had like a very interesting conversation with a senior product manager from former product manager from Native Instruments, CP Schindler, also from Germany, and she was actually we actually had like entire episode only about the like a culture and let's say mental health and stress management. How stressful. I don't want to like shed negativity, but I mean, she says, yeah, it can get, and I can actually relate to it. It can get stressful, yeah. So it's important to be able to like a channel, so actually have your own life and not to, get overwhelmed. Especially there is always new ideas and there is always problems from customers.
Exactly. And if you want to create good stuff, you need to be in the right mood, and for the right mood, you need to step away from stuff which is which is just giving stress to you or keeps you busy at night. And mental health is a very, very, very good point. We could talk another session just about this. I'm doing yoga since years, and I'm doing it for two reasons. Because sitting so long in front of monitors and hanging on the phone. It's important that for me, it's important that my body is in a good shape. So I'm careful with my body in a certain sense. So sport and in particular yoga with an additional aspect for your mindset and your mental health is very, very important. And otherwise, it's just push yourself to not think about business. I mean. You can also take a seat somewhere and try to look into the sky without thinking for 10 minutes. It's not easy, but it's really helping.
I see. I didn't know you were also like a yoga enthusiast. Me too. I do yoga for like 23 years or 24 years already.
Okay.
I mean, since when I was like 19. I mean, I also like had a back problem and started. Actually, you can select some yoga equipment underneath there. It's like my most important routine, like every morning and every evening, and also like
cool.
I mean, already when I just joining Avid, I said, guys, there are two. I mean, I am flexible, but there are two moments in the week, Tuesday and Thursdays when I have my yoga classes. This is actually not, not negotiable. I mean, if there's like a big lunch or something, of course, like a big release, I can like reschedule my classes. But usually I try to do it like two classes a week plus, some, in exercising at home, right? So,
I mean, I can. A nice little anecdote. I can remember that we had a big event, and we were broadcasting this event because it was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on stage, and I had a glamour suit. I wore a glamour suit because we were playing a certain role between two guys. One was Jimmy Fallon, and the other one was me being an actor.
Okay.
And we had a kind of interview. And in the second session, we were sitting there as well. And the moderator, the wife of the moderator, was a yoga teacher in Hamburg, or is.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me, yeah, Wolfgang, what are you doing to being fit? Because you look being quite good in shape, and what are you doing? And I said, yeah, I try to do it. So I'm running a bit, and I'm doing yoga as well. Oh, yoga, yeah, I know. Can you show something?
Okay, I saw the you shared the picture. Yeah, I got it. I know, you know what you mean. And you did like
And
the downward facing dog, right?
I started with the downboarding dog, and then I went into the wild thing, which is another final pose, which is not so easy doing it in a suit because you need to be careful that everything stays
Doesn't
together
break.
because the suit was quite tight, but the people were completely flashed and enthusiastic. And 1 year later, the next event, they asked me in front if I could do within a 15 minutes break a short yoga exercise for the audience.
Hmm.
So I prepared something with the breathing, with some really easy stretching stuff, and just concentrating or focusing. And I got so wonderful feedback from people about this. It was really great. I mean,
Okay, so
this
now
was
I know the
also a
story,
fun
but
factor.
now I know the story behind the pictures, right? That yeah, I was just wondering, what is this?
What is that? Yeah, it was one of the really fun parts at this event as well. Yeah, just
Yeah.
giving people another perspective. You're talking about products and stuff, and then 5 minutes later you are doing a yoga exercise and not really being prepared. So yeah, but it worked out, and we had a lot of fun with it.
Cool. Wolfgang, can I ask you like a last one, last question? I know it's late, so I know we had obviously planned way more, but we have a cool conversation. But it's like this broad question about trends and what like a new trends in the industry you see think are important, and
Yeah.
obviously maybe very generic question about AI. So what is your take on AI in the industry, right? I
Um,
mean.
yeah, I mean that's the elephant in the room. I would say at the moment because a lot of people have different ideas what it is, what it can be,
Mm-hmm.
and how it can help. So in our company, we have actually tomorrow we have a big event, a day event, which is all about KI. So you can go there and can listen to some keynotes from people, also
Mm-hmm.
from experts from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
and looking into the product management side of things. We also are asking ourselves how can KI in the future ease our job or ease the job of our customers, and not thinking about the priority at this moment. So how to give customers a good an added value using KI in our system, and there
Mm-hmm.
are several ways we are discussing at the moment, and I'm pretty sure that we can find some help from a system operation or creating perspective. So let's say simulation and configuration and operation.
Mm-hmm.
To help people to when they're working with the stuff to feed them with several information that is created just by the source what they are doing in this moment, just
Mm-hmm.
as one idea. And for a product manager, it should be just ease our life with let's say consolidate information to a level that works easier because you don't need to have 100 interviews personally. Maybe you just have 20 and the others are done with a separate, and the KI helps you to sort and looking into buzzwords or weighting of several messages and answers of questions. So this is, I think it's
It's already,
there.
it's already there. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but I'm so excited about this because I can see this is such a cool. I mean, I already do quite a lot with deep research, and it's. I mean, in order to let's say not only, I just like created a report on automotive audio. I wanted actually to learn a little bit about the segment, the companies, innovation is, and I mean the results I got from like a simple query, which was actually structured like a request. What criteria I wanted actually to analyze against. It was mind blowing, right? And also, like as you said, I mean, collecting information. I even sometimes pass the podcast through the model. Actually, can you like give me some key takeaways or like take I don't know like some guest mentioned specific book or etc. I don't want to like scroll to the entire episode, but I mean I can just take it straight and I mean like have it listed as a nice like a takeaway. Not to mention that we actually like in Pro Tools, like in June, we integrated the speech to text, so you can right now in post production and actually find everything because it just generates you the transcription from the audio. So it's just so many beautiful ways you can ease your workload, right? Not actually to replace humans, but actually
it's a complete new world, and we need to dive into that because as a product manager, I'm 100% sure you need to take it on and to work with it and to get experience and need to sort out what is supporting you, what is in your way to, not everything what KI can do is supporting you, but I'm playing around with it for my private fun in different ways, and in the company we try to, we already are working with it, as you say, to transcribe, to define from a bunch of information to create the core information out, and also thinking about stuff that is maybe implemented in software libraries in the future, and other people are discussing how to create another way of coding for writing software. I mean, it's
Are you not afraid as a musician? Because we are talking right now, you as a product manager, but if you take the other hat, are you not afraid a little bit as a musician, what's going to make, with art and culture?
I am. But I'm not sure how fast this will develop. I mean, the first experience with KI compositions were quite interesting. We thought, what a crap. I mean, what is this? This is nothing. Nobody will dance for this. Nobody will ask for it. And nobody will buy a ticket for this. The other hand is that, as we know, if you know how to deal with it and how to feed a KI system today in the right way, it can create stuff where other people would say, I have 10 producers and engineers around in a studio to do that in 1 month. And I'm pretty convinced that this will be a risky topic in the future as well. So how to deal with that as a composer and or an artist in general?
That's you see. I mean, someone mentioned that. I mean, on LinkedIn, I think that if you're afraid as a musician of AI, then you must be a poor. It's obviously like a maybe nasty joke, but I mean, you're a poor musician, right? Because you can use it as a tool, and if you're a creative person, you could use it as another like a expansion of your creativity, right? Or like a AI synthesizer, sample generation, some I don't know, crazy new genres of music.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, rather than as a threat. But just if I can wrap this one up, it's I mean, I'm mostly afraid not of AI itself, but I mean of a monopoly that big tech, corporation that create this AI can have, and like a ownership of the data. It's like a difficult topic and a bit outside our like realm, but I mean, to me, it's most the scariest thing is like Google and all this like a large, they own like everything about us, right? So they can actually understand our needs before we actually even realize them, which is scary, right? It looks more like a Chinese democracy, Which,
that's one point, and maybe to really wrap it up, because my dog is waiting in front of the door and knocking for a couple of minutes now, and she wants to step in, but I think it's better to step out and join half an hour with her. What I wanted to say, the only thing that I really think we are running into potential trouble is that people are not differentiating and not thinking about what is real and what is KI and how to deal with it, especially when you look at on social platforms about that. I mean, people are commenting and answering chatbots, which are pushing something in the market created by by artificial intelligence, which is not intelligence, which is just something collected and put into a picture or in a nice phrasing, and people are thinking this is a human talking about something.
Yeah.
And this is the way they're reacting. And so the risk to getting misleaded by this technology in wrong hands, this is something I really have some fear, or I think this can be really a risk for the society, not necessarily only for art or for the culture. But this is another story, and I don't want to end this wonderful call with this
with the negative.
of a great technology, because we're in the right hands. It's just fantastic what it can do. No question about it.
I completely agree with you. And what's your dog's name?
Hailey.
Heidi. Okay.
It's a girl. Hailey. So
Hailey.
Hailey. Hailey.
Hailey.
It's like the star, the comet.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
That's and there's another meaning coming from the original country, because I think the dog is originally coming from Ireland, and there's a something that is connected to the name.
Okay.
And I love the name, and I love the dog. As simple as that.
Yeah, so that's in this case I cannot stop you, because this is important, right? And you need to take a walk, So, Wolfgang, I really, appreciate you. You agreed to join the episode, and and for all our conversations, because it ended up with the episode, but we have multiple conversations, and and I appreciate your help, and I hope we'll see you around some, maybe in some fairs or somewhere, So
that would be great. Yeah, I would like to maybe follow these discussions with some others in another event, or whatever that can be, in another situation, or if you're close to Backnang, which is the city of our headquarter in the north of Stuttgart, 30 kilometers away. When you're around there, give me a call, and I would really love to see you there and show you around a little bit and give you some more impressions about what d&b is doing. Otherwise, you can also just join d&b-audio.com and give some. You get some impressions what we are doing, I'm sure. And thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure to have the chance to share a bit of product management perspective. I really loved it. Great.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you to the listeners, guys, and see you in the next one.
Of course. Thanks, you too. Yeah. Okay. See you around. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you liked it. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and of course on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to it and hit the bell, because we publish a lot of interesting videos there, not just the episodes. You can also become a supporter and get premium content like additional reading, unpublished videos on our Buy Me a Coffee page, linked in the description of this episode. See you in the next one. Yo.